All right, let's talk about a huge, hidden audit risk that could be a ticking time bomb for literally thousands of non-resident aliens here in the US. It is an incredibly easy mistake to make, and it all comes down to the tax software you choose.
So let's just jump right in with the big question, the one that really gets to the heart of this whole thing. Did that super easy, user-friendly tax software you used actually set a trap for you with the IRS? You know, we're talking about the big names, like TurboTax, which are absolutely fantastic for most US residents. But, and this is a huge but, they can lead non-residents down a totally wrong and, believe me, very expensive path.
So how on earth does this even happen? Well, let's break down the mechanics of this tax trap. It's really a perfect storm of how the software is designed, our own human behavior, and of course, some seriously complex international tax rules.
And look, you don't have to take my word for it. Check out this quote from a forensic tax dossier. It says these platforms often lack the sophistication for non-resident alien, or NRA, taxation, and they end up subtly pushing people down the wrong path. The key word there is subtly. It's not that you made a huge, obvious mistake, it's that the system itself quietly nudged you in the wrong direction.
You know, these three things right here create the absolute perfect conditions for this wrong software error. First, the software itself. It's built for the masses, right? So it just assumes you're a US resident and points you straight to a Form 1040. Then you've got what's called Familiarity Bias. Everybody's heard of the 104 form, so it just feels like the safe thing to do. And finally, the killer is the convenience. The software is so easy to use, it completely masks how insanely complicated these rules are, making you think it's all handled.
So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one single thing: filing the wrong form. It's that simple. If you are a non-resident alien for tax purposes, you are legally required to file Form 1040-NR, period. Using that standard software that spits out a Form 1040, that's the fundamental error that kicks off this whole chain of risk.
Okay, so let's dig into why this form choice is so unbelievably critical. The difference between these two isn't just a number and a couple of letters. No, it's a completely different universe when it comes to how you're taxed.
And this right here just lays it all out. It shows why this is so much bigger than a simple paperwork mistake. Look at this. When you file a Form 1040, you're telling the US government to tax your worldwide income, everything. But as a non-resident, you should only be taxed on your US source income. On top of that, the 1040 lets you take a huge standard deduction that, guess what, most non-residents aren't allowed to have. This one error completely flips your entire tax situation on its head.
So what happens when this goes wrong? Let's talk money. Let's really look at the real-world financial damage this can do. Because when the IRS spots this mistake, the drop-off from that financial cliff can be incredibly steep.
Let's put a real number on this: $14,600. For a single person filing in 2024, that is the standard deduction you probably claimed if you used the wrong form. But as an NRA, you most likely had no right to it. Taking a deduction you're not entitled to, that's a massive red flag for an audit. And it means, right off the bat, you've underpaid your taxes.
And when you actually see the numbers visualized, the difference can be absolutely staggering. I mean, this chart gives you a sense of just how much your tax bill can explode. By accidentally reporting all your worldwide income, you might be subjecting your income from back home to US tax rates as high as 37%. That is the financial cliff we're talking about. But the damage, unfortunately, doesn't stop with your income tax. The immediate bill from the IRS is bad enough, but this error can set off a devastating chain reaction that puts your entire retirement plan in jeopardy. And this is the trigger. It all starts with one number: your adjusted gross income, or AGI. Filing the wrong form, the 1040, almost always inflates this number because it's including income it shouldn't. And this one single artificially high number is basically the launch key for what our source material calls the double torpedo. So here's how this two-pronged attack hits your retirement savings. It's brutal. First, that inflated AGI can suddenly make up to 85% of your Social Security benefits taxable. Bam! Second, that same high AGI can trigger massive surcharges on your Medicare premiums. It's just a painful domino effect, and it all started with that simple software default.
Okay, after all that doom and gloom, let's talk about the good stuff, the empowering part. There is a clear, actionable solution. If you think you might have made this mistake, there is a forensic process to fix it.
Now, before you do anything else, you absolutely have to use the official IRS test to confirm your status. It's non-negotiable. Do you have a green card?
Have you been in the US long enough to meet the substantial presence test? And this is so important. Do any exceptions apply? Like if you're a student on an F visa, your days here might not even count toward that test. You have to get this right. It is the foundation for everything that comes next.
Okay, once you've confirmed you filed the wrong form, the next step is to file an amended return. You're going to use Form 1040X, and you'll attach a correctly filled out Form 1040NR to it. This whole process means you're totally recalculating your tax to make things right with the IRS. And moving forward, this is exactly why using software specifically built for non-residents, something like SprintTax, is so crucial to avoid this whole mess in the first place.
So, we'll end with this question. Is your tax return an audit time bomb? Think of this as your call to action. Go back, review your past filings. Make sure that a simple default setting in your software hasn't put you in serious financial danger. The convenience of a one-size-fits-all program like TurboTax can come at a very, very steep price if you're the person it wasn't designed for.